Well, it's a nice, beautiful warming up day in Ontario. Nice Saturday Sabbath day. We're going to deal with the subject matter of undue. The word undue. I've taken this quote out of Carswell Thompson publication in Canada. It's the Dictionary of Canadian Law, third edition, and under undue, it has a very interesting meaning because remember, when the scripture said, or when Jesus' words were, render to Caesar what is Caesar, or give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's, it's really saying what is due. And we've gone through a very, very solid research, and hopefully you're grasping this, that the public title or the surname is only the Caesar public jurisdiction side. Your God given side is not Caesar's. And because it's a choice of where you elect at age, what we call it legal choice age, we know in the United States it's 21, but originally it was 18 in British law, where even their laws came from. And so, therefore, the word undue has to be really looked at closely because you want to make sure that you're only rendering what is due and what is not due. Okay, so we're going to read the definition. This is quote, while undue is a word of common, note that, common usage, which does not have a precise technical, here's that word tech again, we found in the Garden of Eden, technical, the serpent was very subtle, which means tech, web. So it does not have a precise technical meaning. The Supreme Court has variously defined undue to mean improper, inordinate, excessive, or oppressive, or to express a notion of seriousness or significance. To this list of synonyms, the concise Oxford Dictionary adds disproportionate. What is clear from all these terms is that undueness is a relative concept. The proper approach to determining if something is undue, then, is a contextual one. So you have to look at the context of where you're going to decide what is due and what is undue. Undueness must be defined in light of the aim of the relevant enactment. So if we're looking at the parliamentary writings, the Vital Statistics Acts that seem to be in every state or province worldwide, what is due and what is not due was clear, at least as we found in the Ontario Vital Statistics Act under Section 15, where registration was done, but it did not have the given name on it. And it was only an elective choice for the child to do that at an age that the state declares they can make that decision to enter into the public legal trafficking under license. So it says undueness must be defined in the light of the aim of the relative enactment. It can be useful to assess the consequences or effect if the undue thing is allowed to remain in place. And as I've been going over in the videos, we're talking about taking care of this problem, remedying this. There's something that is due and something that is undue. But in order to produce the birth certificate document, they needed to have the parents fill it in on the hospital record so that they could compare it with the form that the attending doctor filled out that doesn't have the given name of the child, only a surname. And then they compare the two and make a birth certificate. Without that, they wouldn't have had it. And therefore, they would never have issued a birth certificate. The ambiguous counterfeit of your life in the fiction that you become the surety for, which is opposite to your grace under Jesus Christ, who paid all the debt, canceled it according to Colossians 2:13-15. So, going further, we can just basically sum it up as you're going to have to realize that the government reached a little bit too far on this. But they needed it so they could create their system of fiction under a civil code. And there's no other way it would have happened, because they needed the two to mingle together. They needed something pure with something in error or unclean. So remember, do not touch the unclean thing. The only way you couldn't touch it is to remove what is private and belongs to God out of there and leave that for Caesar's ordained use. You must undo what is not due to Caesar, or the legal state, or the civil state of the government, or its public government arms. So it's very simple concept here. Slow the video down if you have to. I'm going to read it in full with no breaks now, so you can look at this definition in its clarity without any interruptions from me explaining anything. So, undue. While undue is a word of common usage which does not have a precise technical meaning, the Supreme Court has variously defined undue to mean an improper, inordinate, excessive, or oppressive, or to express a notion of seriousness or significance. To list the synonyms, the concise Oxford Dictionary adds disproportionate. What is clear from all these terms is that undueness is a relative concept. The proper approach to determining if something is undue, then, is a contextual one. Undueness must be defined in light of the aim of the relevant enactment. It can be useful to assess the consequences or effect if the undue thing is allowed to remain in place. Therefore, in context, let's look at the Bible, what Jesus' words were, what was due to Caesar and what was due to God, but certainly there was no overlap. Caesar was to remain in Caesar's jurisdiction, and your relationship with God was not to be intermingled. It was separate. Therefore, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. There's serious consequences, as it's stated in here. There'll be effects if the thing that was undue, which was your private God-given name, is left in place on the record that allows the energy of your torture.